Look at the cloth moth and the carpet beetle. Oh, three kinds of cloth moths. All of them lay eggs, which hatch into caterpillars that eat wool, feather, and fur. There was one individual that I was really wanting to talk to, and I'm somewhat sorry that he died. Yes. David Rockefeller Sr. He had 160,000 beetles. Phew. With all that money and influence, yes, it seemed that Rockefellers had so much to say about look at all these different types of clothing. Yes, he does. Yes. A lot of those that are very well to do, the watch is so important to you. Could you call the Rockefellers for me? Yes. See, as I remember it, the United Nations Charter originated from the Rockefellers, and they donated the land for the building that it's actually built on in New York City. Yes. And then an individual named Turner that had a cable news network. Yes. Well, this Turner, he donated $1 billion of his personal assets to help the United Nations get going. Now I know. We have a United Nations marriage certificate. And I've been wanting to get a divorce. In fact, yesterday I told my wife to sit down. Yes. And you said, well, you can't talk to your wife. And I said, oh, I don't know if she's watching the video or not. Yes, she doesn't know. I have no idea. But let's say I called the Rockefellers today. Yes. I called the United Nations and I informed them, yes, that the separation between a church and state is not being enforced in the United States and happens to be violating my humanitarian rights. Yes. Numerous conventions of the United Nations. And when I informed the police and sheriff's departments that the religious organizations of the county had refused to separate themselves because of me no longer residing at an address, the United Nations was absolutely sure that their charter does or does not recognize that religion and the actual nations that are members have to enforce this ideology. Now, let's say I was looking for 100 billion today. Not only am I not employable in the United Nations, yes. What was his name again, Turner? What was his name again? Why don't you give me all the assets that have been, well, donated to the United Nations to help them get going? And all the individuals that did feel a compulsion to want to spend the actual taxation of this nation so as to support the United Nations. Then the Rockefeller family, all of those that do remember the Beetle, there is the possibility, yes, that the refusal to recognize the actual jurisdiction of the United Nations marriage certificate, yes, was being violated because of the use of religion in the United States to refuse to acknowledge where we were married and who it was the jurisdiction and authority. Now, what if I wanted to sue the United Nations? Yes. I wanted to sue them for refusing to obligate the United States to separate church and state. Yeah. So that every nation in the world finds out that I'm really upset about all this. I'm really upset. Now, what was the guy that started the CNN? It was Turner, wasn't it? Turner, somebody, Turner. Why don't you give me all the answers?